Howdy, I'm Clint Walker and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Clint. And I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, Obama unveils executive order protecting millions from deportation. And Obama action excludes parents of undocumented children and insecure communities. And tens of thousands protest student disappearances in Mexico. And hundreds killed since ceasefire in eastern Ukraine. U.S. sends non-lethal military aid. And U.S. grants temporary status to travelers from Ebola-stricken nations. And U.S. releases 5 Islamic Muslim terrorist prisoners from Gitmo. And Swedish court rejects Assange's appeal, but prods prosecutor to resolve standoff. And marriage equality bans rejected in Montana and South Carolina. And Michael Brown's father urges nonviolent protest, officer reportedly in talks to resign. In Angola 3, prisoner Black Panther likely to remain behind bars despite latest court ruling ordering release. GVTV News is broadcast across Valley Television, division of Rural Counties Television Network, whose focuses on community involvement. We also air on NCTV. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. In today's first world news story, President Obama has unveiled his plan to shield millions of undocumented immigrants from deportation in the face of congressional inaction. Some 4 million people were eligible for new policy, which allows the undocumented parents of U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents to stay in the country with work permits if they live in the United States for at least 5 years, or have, and pass a background check. President Obama said, "So we're going to offer the following deal if you've been in America for more than 5 years, if you have children who are American citizens or legal residents, if you run a background check and you're willing to pay your fair share of taxes, you'll be able to apply and stay in this country temporarily without fear of deportation." The new plan will not provide relief to parents of undocumented children, even those who qualify for deferred action in 2012. It also ends the controversial Secure Communities program, which swept up immigrants with minor offenses such as traffic tickets. Newly created Priority Enforcement Program will carry out a similar role. Tens of thousands of people have rallied in Mexico in a day of action over the apparent massacre of 43 students by police and a drug gang in the southern state of Guerrero. The students from a college down there had been missing for nearly 2 months after they were ambushed by police. On Thursday, a massive crowd turned out in Mexican City to call an action against government corruption and the resignation of President Enrique Peña Nieto. United States, or nations, says violence in eastern Ukraine is worsening despite a 2-month ceasefire. An average of 13 people a day have been killed since the Ukrainian government reached a truce with separatist rebels early September. More than 4,300 people have been killed, nearly 500,000 internally displaced since fighting erupted in April. Speaking in Geneva, UN and officials said eastern Ukraine has seen a total breakdown of rule of law and said civilians continue to be killed, illegally detained, tortured. They are disappearing, and the number of internally displaced is growing, especially in eastern parts of Ukraine, where there's total breakdown of rule of law and where very little, if we can talk about protection, very little protection, if any at all. No respect of international human rights norms. UN's warning comes as Vice President Joe Biden was in Kyiv to announce a new increase of non-lethal military aid to Ukrainian military. The U.S. will supply the first shipment of Humvee vehicles after ruling out weapons for now. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko was asked for lethal military during his visits in September. The Obama administration is granting temporary protected status to travelers hailing from 3 West African countries worst hit by Ebola. Individuals from Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone in the U.S. can apply for deportation protection and an 18-month work permit. U.S. has also released 5 more prisoners from Gitmo, including the first Yemeni detainee to be resettled in 4 years. 3 of the prisoners have been sent to Georgia and the other 2 to Slovakia. And the move reduces the Gitmo prisoner population to 143, majority already cleared for release. And Swedish court has rejected an appeal of an arrest warrant that kept WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange confined in Ecuador's London embassy for over 2 years. Assange is wanted in Sweden for questioning of allegation of sexual misconduct. Though no charges have been filed, he has voiced his fear he would ultimately be sent in prosecution in the United States if he were returned to Sweden. Assange's attorney had petitioned for the warrant to be withdrawn, arguing it cannot be enforced while Assange is in the embassy, and Swedish prosecutors refused to question him in London. But on Thursday, a Swedish appeals court rejected Assange's challenge to a ruling against him earlier this year. In a statement, the court said it factored in that Assange is a flight risk and that he is suspected of crimes of relatively serious nature, but also suggested prosecutors should consider questioning him in London, saying their refusal to do so is not in line with their obligation in the interest of everyone concerned to move the preliminary investigations forward. LGBT couples in Montana and South Carolina have applied for a marriage license for the first time after courts rejected their state's bans on marriage equality. Supreme Court rejected a request to block LGBT marriage in South Carolina on Thursday, one day after a federal judge overturned the state ban in Montana. 2 couples in Montana and South Carolina spoke to reporters after requesting marriage licenses on Thursday. After the new ruling, marriage equality will be legalized in 35 of the U.S. states. And the father of Michael Brown has issued an appeal for nonviolent protest in advance of the pending grand jury decision over his son's killing, an announcement that could come any day whether the Ferguson police officer who killed Brown, Darren Wilson, will face criminal charges. In a video statement, Michael Brown Sr. asked demonstrators to remain peaceful. He said, "My family and I are hurting. Our whole region is hurting. I thank you for lifting your voices to end racial profiling and police intimidation, but hurting others or destroying property is not the answer. No matter what the grand jury decides, I do not want my son's death to be in vain. I want it to lead to incredible changes, positive change that makes St. Louis region better for everyone. We live here together. This is our home. We are stronger, united." As he faced potential charges, Officer Wilson is reportedly in talks with city officials to resign. Ferguson Police Chief Tom Jackson had recently suggested Wilson could return to active duty if he is not indicted. And a federal appeals court has upheld a lower court ruling ordering Louisiana to release Albert Woodfox, a Black Panther, who has spent more than 40 years in solitary confinement. Woodfox and late Herman Wallace, another prisoner of the Angola 3, were convicted of murdering a guard at Angola prison. Angola 3 and their supporters say they were framed for their political activism. A federal judge ruled last year that Woodfox should be set free on basis of racial discrimination on his retrial. It was the third time Woodfox's conviction had been overturned, but prosecutors had negated the victories with a series of appeals. Thursday's ruling in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the order with Woodfox's release in unanimous 3-0 decision, but prosecutors could still delay its enforcement with more appeals to keep Woodfox behind bars. In a statement, the International Coalition to Free Angola said, although the courts have ruled in the interest of justice, it may still be months or years before this innocent man is released from his solitary cell. And that's it for World News today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon, I could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm clap along if you feel like a room without
That's right, it's time for the police blotter. Pictures in the blotter not from these actual events but used for visual aid only. These public records are obtained from daily logs issued from Nevada County law enforcement. Nevada County Sheriff's Office, 8:07 p.m. Caller from 12,000 block of Pinecone Creek reported a suspected transient trespassing on his property. At 10:28 a.m., a caller from the vicinity of Rock Creek Road and Highway 20 reported a truck over an embankment 75 to 100 feet off the roadway. At 10:55 a.m., a juvenile was reported treated in the emergency room for injuries sustained from an assault at Nevada Union High School. At 1:13 p.m., copper wire was reportedly cut down and stolen from the overhead line on Brunswick Pines Road. At 1:44 p.m., a caller from 17,000 block of Satellite Drive reported a possible mail theft case after finding a large amount of mail from a neighborhood, saying it appeared to have been opened with items stolen. 2:38 p.m., caller from 12,000 block of Butterfly Drive reported a bear getting into a dove cage. At 3:33 p.m., a 911 caller reported a vehicle had overturned and gone off an embankment, possibly with 2 occupants trapped inside. 3:58 p.m., another possible mail theft was reported, 17,000 block of Jayhawk Drive. 6:21 p.m., a caller from 19,000 block of Sundance Court reported a residential burglary with old guns, TVs, and jewelry taken. 6:24 p.m., a caller from 15,000 block reported that his estranged wife was refusing to sign their divorce papers. At 7:26 p.m., a caller from 16,000 block reported a traffic collision involving a vehicle and a tree. In Grass Valley Police Department on Thursday, 7:01 a.m., a caller from 500 block of Idaho Maryland Road reported a trailer stolen from their yard the previous night. It was later found near School Alley and South Auburn Street. 8:06 a.m., a caller from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported that a transient camp had been set up in the entryway of their workplace with broken bottles and signs of a campfire. 9:40 a.m., a television was reported stolen on 800 block of Old Tunnel Road. 11:36 a.m., a caller from 800 block of Old Tunnel Road reported receiving obscene phone calls. 12:39 p.m., a caller from 2000 block of Nevada City Highway reported getting followed by someone who they believed to be a defendant in an assault case. At 3 p.m., juvenile was treated in emergency room and injuries sustained in a vehicle versus bicycle hit-and-run accident. The victim's mother stated the vehicle sped away before contact could be made. It was described as an older blue Chevy SUV driven by a white female driver with short reddish-brown hair. 4:27 p.m., a caller from 900 block of Golden Gate Terrace reported possible theft at a storage unit. The reporting party stated that his estranged wife may have been responsible. 6:44 p.m., multiple callers vicinity of Pleasant and Chapel Street reported that a white Dodge truck ran into a rock wall, then fled the scene. 10:51 p.m., an uncooperative bartender on Mill Street reported a large subject causing a disturbance in a downtown liquor establishment. And Friday, 12:46 a.m., a caller on 100 block of Mill Street reported the theft of a purse and $500 in cash. In Nevada City Police Department on Thursday, 4:31 p.m., backpack was reported stolen from a vehicle parked in an area of Sacramento and Valley Streets. At 5:14 p.m., a vehicle pedestrian accident was reported at an intersection Highway 20 and 49 on Broad Street. And 10:32 p.m., a caller from 100 block of Perseverance Mine Court reported that a brother was on meth and might try to kill his girlfriend. And that's it for the blotter today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, changes to Nevada City camping ordinance could mean jail for repeat offenders. And Grass Valley spot goes to Lampier, and Slade Troutman finished third. In our first story, Nevada City has strengthened the enforcement provisions in the camping ordinance based on advice from Nevada County District Attorney's Office. City officials hope that the change will lower police and public works costs associated with illegal campsites. They had referred a couple of camping ordinance violations to my office for potential prosecution. After reviewing their law, it was unenforceable, said Cliff Newell, Nevada County's district attorney. It had so many exceptions and so many requirements that the officer would have been tied up for a couple days just to write a ticket. Even if officers issued a citation under the previous ordinance, it was just an infraction. Fines started at $100 for the first violation, escalating to $200 for the second and $500 for each subsequent citation within 1 year. Under the newly amended ordinance, repeat offenders could face jail time. After the fourth violation within 1 year, unpermitted camping within Nevada City can be cited as a misdemeanor. Under the California state law, misdemeanors can be punished by jail sentences for up to 1 year. The means a suspect who habitually violates Nevada City's camping ordinance can be incarcerated and potentially taken off the street for months at a time. But Newell is quick to point out that whether or not subsequent violations of the ordinance are prosecuted as misdemeanors will largely be a matter of officer discretion. It entirely depends on the individual and if they have a criminal history, Newell added. This is not something where we're trying draconian measures to run everyone off the streets. It's not going to be used heavy-handedly, Newell said. It just gives us a little bit more leverage to get people to follow the law in Nevada City. NCPD says this new enforcement provision will be particularly effective with more problematic repeat offenders who can sometimes rack up 2 to 3 camping violations in a single week. The issue here is having some leverage for accountability, said Police Chief Tim Foley. Sometimes when people are in a position they seek alternatives to avoid the penalty, Foley said, having that can be the catalyst for them seeking some more suitable accommodations or assistance. Officer Shane Franson, Nevada City's foot patrolman, said enforcing the city's camping ordinance isn't a major part of his workload. He hasn't issued that many citations, but when the issue comes up, it's very time-consuming. There have been days that a vast majority of my shift is out trying to find camps and someone spots out on a hike, Franson said. That leaves me a voicemail and I've got to spend half my shift hiking up and down hillsides and canyons, and then it's a matter of cleaning it up. It's treacherous terrain, he added. As far as the time that I put into it is in going out and locating these camps, that's numerous hours of my day. That cleanup effort can also incur payroll expenses for Nevada's City Department of Public Works when it has to assign personnel to the job. Grass Valley City Council candidate Terry Lampier is apparently the winner of the most recent election ballot count update issued Friday by the Nevada County Elections Office. With about 1,000 provisional ballots from across the county still to be counted, Lampier leads his nearest challenger, Jerry Glover, by 122 votes. Friday results indicated the same general voting pattern as that was released November 14th, when there were 2,800 ballots still to be counted. I'm very grateful to all my supporters who recognize the contributions I have made to the as county supervisor, said Lampier, Nevada County District 3 supervisor who lost his re-election bid in June to Grass Valley Mayor Dan Miller. I look forward to working with my colleagues in City Council and to continue to work for respectful and fair decisions that provide quality service to Grass Valley residents while protecting our small town's quality of life. Friday update showed, that was his quote. Friday update also shows longtime Nevada County Board of Education trustee Marianne Slade Troutman lost her re-election bid in Area 1. Slade Troutman was trailing her nearest challenger, incumbent Bob Altieri, 633 votes. Troutman will lose her seat on the board as the longest-standing trustee. I'm grateful to voters that elected me for 9 terms. That's 36 years in the County Board of Education with a perfect attendance record that's going to be a hard habit to break, Slade Troutman said Friday. During my tenure, it has been a pleasure to work with parents, students, teachers, and some other very talented county school superintendents, Jerry Hund, Skip Hauser, Terry McIntyre, and along with exceptional board members and staff. Altieri, who made his campaign mission to unseat both Slade Troutman and trustee Jack Meeks, said he is pleased with the election results and looks forward to working with the new board members. There's significant work to be done in the 4 years for all the changes that have occurred in the educational system today, Altieri said in his apparent victory. I'm looking forward to serving another 4 years, particularly with people that I ran with, because they're very competent people. Sandy's Zorberg, Nevada County Assistant Register of Voters, said she doubted that the race results of any one confined area in the county, such as the City of Grass Valley, Area 1, or Board of Education, would be changed by the remaining provisional ballots. Provisional ballots spread all over the precincts. In one polling place, for example, we may have 15 provincials. Solberg added that she expects a portion of the provisional ballots to be disqualified due to a lack of voter registration or signature issues. Deadline for the final count is November 26th. With the Friday count in the 4-way race for 2 seats in the Grass Valley City Council, incumbent Jason Foyer leads with 1,559 votes, followed by Lampier with 1,439, Glover with 1,317, and Jim Firth with 1,059. The 4-way race for 2 seats for the County Board of Education Area 1, Larry Meeks leads with 13,308 votes, followed by Altieri with 11,474, Troutman in third, 10,841, and John Givens is 554.97. It's going to be really nice to have a board of collaborators that has respect for each other, said Altieri. Now, the opponents didn't have any respect for people, but the absence of personal agenda is going to make everybody a little bit more comfortable. He also paid tribute to Slade Troutman, a veteran of several decades of service to the county board. I believe that Marianne has done a lot of good things on the board, and I've said publicly many times, Altieri said. When we are a 7-member board some time ago, Marianne was instrumental when we had some people on the board. She was great. She really did a fabulous job. While she'll no longer be on the board, Slade Chapman said she will continue to stay involved in contributing to the local community. With the holidays around the corner, as associate member of Marine Corps League Gold Country Detachment, I will be focusing on working with Toys for Tots programs and ask for your support for the very worthy cause, Slade Chapman said. I'm not going to be sitting around doing nothing. It's too many wonderful organizations in this community. I will always be involved in education. I've spent my life doing it, and all of my time here in Nevada County has been a focal point. I've worked with her too before, and she's really a great person. To see any more about the elections, you can go to mynevadacounty.com.